Hey, what is up guys, and welcome to my Summer Banner Part 2 review. First off, I want to apologize for being so late and not making a review for the first Summer Banner. Something came up so I had to skip it, but I finally managed to sneak in some time to make one for Part 2. But anyways, 1 per recommendations will be in the comments below, so check there if you're looking for that. And with all that said, let's get started. Let's start things off with Cleo. Her skills work a lot like Cerese's. The more buffs that are active on Cleo, the more shots that her skill one will do, with the maximum of additional shots being 4. The base damage mod is 848%, which is just alright. It's about average, but it does get a lot better if we take into account the 4 additional shots. It'll be around 1272%, and for only 2841 SP, that's pretty good. Players should have no problems with maximizing the damage on the skill, since her skill 2 grants 4 different types of buffs, so she's basically guaranteed to get the 4 additional shots off for every other skill 1 that she activates. It also has quick animations, so that will make this skill that much more spammable, so all in all, it's an excellent damage skill. It's going to be her main damage tool, and she's going to be activating the skill a lot, considering the amount of skill haste that is built into her kit. Now her skill 2, like I mentioned a little bit ago, provides 4 different types of buffs to Cleo herself as well as any allies within range. I think this skill is just okay. The duration is only 10 seconds, it doesn't last that long, and there may be a lot of buffs being granted, but the values aren't too amazing. Only 5% strength, 3% crit rate, skill damage 10%, and skill gauge fill rate by 10%. I think the best part about this buff is probably the 10% skill gauge fill rate, because that's going to be nice to go along with your 15% skill haste ability. That's 25% skill haste right there, and I think that'll allow for some interesting strats that you can pull off with different sets of units. So overall her skill 2 is just okay, as it provides decent buffs and it augments her skill 1. Now her abilities are all about paralysis. Upon paralyzing an enemy, skill gauge fill rate increases by 10% for 20 seconds, and she also deals 30% more damage to paralyzed enemies. Like, obviously it's good if you're facing a foe that is susceptible to paralysis, right? But there's really no notable enemy to use this type of skill set on right now. The 2 endgame content right now are High Dragons and Mercurial Gauntlet. Cleo should obviously be using High Zodiac, which is not in the game right now, and we don't know whether or not he can get paralyzed. As for Mercurial Gauntlet, the high level stages, Roy the Fafnir has a base paralysis resistance of 80%, so that basically means that you can only paralyze them once for the whole duration of the fight, which is not good news for Cleo. That pretty much makes all of her abilities useless, because she's just gonna paralyze Roy right off the bat in the beginning of the fight. After paralysis wears off, she can't use her abilities anymore, essentially. And also, I think if Roy gets paralyzed, that will delay his attacks, kind of like how Freeze does it, and that can be a bit annoying because it can potentially ruin your rotations. So I think Cleo is a pretty good light archer. She's definitely the best light archer right now, but that's really not saying much, to be honest. She has a decent kit, S1 deals plenty of damage, S2 has an AoE buff, so Cleo can be a hybrid damage dealer and support at the same time. The paralysis abilities are strong when applicable, but the issue of course is that you gotta use her versus enemies that are susceptible to paralysis. She's definitely a skip for me. While her kit is good, she just isn't good enough to justify spending Wormite on, considering that she is not limited and we are only a month away from 1st anniversary. Next up is Summer Verica. She is just like her original. She has a skill set that is all focused on healing and nothing else. Her skill 1 has the exact same values and SP cost as her original skill 1. The only difference is that Summer Verica's removes blind instead of stun. There's really not much to say here, to be honest. Fire Verica skill 1 we all know provides excellent heals, so pretty much the same thing here. Skill 2, Moment of Passion, has a tremendously high SP cost of 63,104. This skill is going to work similar as Albert's skill 2, where the skill actually regens SP on its own over time. Do note that abilities that increase its skill gauge fill rate will not affect this skill. So basically, skill haste doesn't work, but skill prep does. The SP self-regen is 1578 per second, which means that it'll take around 40 seconds for it to fully fill on its own, and it only fills gradually if her skill 1 is not available for use, and that can get a little bit wonky at times. But anyways, Moment of Passion grants all teammates a buff which restores their HP by 5% of damage inflicted for 30 seconds. This is very interesting. So the heal is based on damage that the character deals. From the sounds of it, it could be the greatest heal ever, or it could potentially get wasted, right? Because the heal is based on damage dealt. Depending on the team, you can probably full heal by using a high damage dealer, but the thing is there really a need for such a large scale heal? Probably not, especially not one with such a high SP cost. Although I think the mode where you'll get the most value out of this skill is probably in Master's Astral Raids, because it may be very useful for trying to get those deathless runs. As for her abilities, again, they are pretty much the same as her originals, except the values are better because of the difference in rarity. I'm not going to review them because they are just recovery potency passives. Summer Verica is a good staff unit if you are looking for a shadow character that does nothing but restore loads of HP. I could see her being used kind of like Hildegard and Fire Verica in a way as a universal healer for low difficulty content, but other than that, I don't see much use for her in higher end content currently. She probably is most certainly viable for High Jupiter, but you're gonna need to invest in defensive paralysis prints for her, or else she's gonna have a tough time moving around. Even so, Heinwald is still better for High Jupiter simply because he deals way more damage, and Summer Verica's insane amount of heals is just not needed. I recommend skipping on Verica as well. I think Heinwald does a better job in the healer role since he deals great damage while healing at the same time. Teams usually prefer units that can deal damage so they can either clear faster or break bosses quicker. However, like I said earlier, I think Verica does have a place in Master's Astral Raids for trying to get those deathless runs and things like that. Besides, it's not like you need to speed clear Astral Raids given the generous amount of time you get in that particular mode, so Verica is a perfect unit for it. Alright, the 4-star of this banner is Luca. I'm actually just going to do a quick brief summary on him instead of an in-depth review because his kit is just so plain. There's literally like nothing interesting about his skills or abilities. I'm just gonna say this, if you need a light axe character, Luca is a great candidate since he slightly outdamages Linus and Julieta. I actually prefer Luca over Julieta just because his skill 1 has a better animation to it. He also has a plain HP 70 strength ability opposed to Julieta who has Slayer strength, so Luca is better for those single boss fights while Julieta is slightly preferred for challenge maps, but Luca can clear those maps just fine as well. Now last but not least is Light Siren. She's a very interesting dragon and the consensus on her is very mixed, I would say. Personally, I think she is good, but I think you should only use her on a healer maybe. If Cupid did not exist, I would value her a bit higher, but since that's not the case, Cupid is still a better DPS dragon by far in my opinion. The main reason I think that is because Siren's basic attack modifiers are god awful. Initially, I thought she was going to be a top tier light dragon, but after I saw those damage mods, I immediately changed my mind. She has a 3 attack combo that has the following values: 80%, 96%, and 144%. That's one of, if not the worst basic attack mods for a 5-star dragon. I'll show you guys some comparisons with other light dragons on screen. As you can see, Siren is basically a wet noodle fighter with her basic attack, so her DPS will not be that great. However, what I like about her is her skill. It grants 20% strength, 20% defense, and 3 energy levels for 20 seconds to the entire team, which is a good set of buffs with a generous amount of time. It also states that it's possible to charge and use it a second time during the same transformation. Now judging from the trailer, it looks like it only takes 2 full basic attack combos in order to fully charge her skill. And from the looks of it, it only takes about 3 seconds to do her C3 or 3-hit combo, so about 6 seconds to fully fill her skill. This does mean that you can indeed overlap the buffs and have 14 seconds of double strength buffs and defense buffs. 7 seconds of that 14 will be used during the remaining duration as a dragon. Just imagine using her alongside Cupid's. Cupid's gonna provide that 25% crit rate and Siren will provide that double strength buff. It's gonna be insane, so that's why I think you should stick Siren on a staff unit while the rest of the DPSers run Cupid's, because Cupid actually has good basic attack mods. If Siren had better basic attack damage mods, then I think running 4 Sirens would have been fine. I wouldn't sleep on her. I do think she's good, but not as good as Cupid. She's also less useful in solo play compared to co-op because where she really shines is when she can provide those double strength buffs for the other 3 dragons on the team. And that's going to be the end of my Summer Banner Part 2 review. Again, I just want to apologize for being so late on this, but nonetheless, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. And if you guys sum in, let me know who you guys got in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.